So it depends because some of the new devices, like I know with the Apple AirPods or whatever, you can actually do kind of a self-hearing test.
Welcome to the Hearing Wellness Journey podcast, an exploration of determination, hope, self-discovery, and triumph. We'll share the personal experiences of those that are living with hearing loss and provide a haven for their stories to show others that they are not alone in this journey.
We're back for another episode of the Hearing Wellness Journey podcast with my co-hosts,
Lindsey Doherty,
Dr. Emily Johnson,
Dr. Stephanie Michaelides.
and my name is Dr. Dawn Heiman, and today we are discussing OTC hearing aids, or what you could call them over-the-counter hearing aids. What's involved, what's it like to be fit with some, why someone would choose them, how maybe you could troubleshoot them if they're not working for you, and just what we recommend overall from what we've looked at, seen, tried, or even heard about. So anyway, who wants to start?
I think over-the-counter hearing aids are a great start for someone who might have just a mild hearing loss, having a little bit of trouble, and just want to try something cheap that they can, actually hear, and just go from there.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that OTC hearing aids are targeted at self-perceived mild to moderate hearing loss.
Yes.
So whatever that means to you will determine if it's a right fit or not. If you feel like your hearing loss is mild to moderate, then over-the-counter hearing aids would be something that might be a really great entry point to helping you hear a little bit better and getting that access to sound, speech, language, all the world around you without fully committing to a professional hearing test and prescription hearing aids.
If I might add, though, when they were looking at this and there were federal hearings about over-the-counter hearing aids, perceived mild to moderate hearing loss is very different than actual mild to moderate hearing loss. Perceived is actually worse than. So if I could encourage anyone to, if you perceive that you have a mild hearing loss, please do something. Definitely try these out. Yeah. But I think the point of all this is if you have a greater hearing loss than that, you really do need to see a professional, but this is a good starting point.
Yeah, and actually we had talked about this previously on the podcast before OTC devices came out, in that we were actually kind of excited about it because it would get hearing devices in front of people more. And instead of holding off, because we do know there's typically a 7-year gap between when somebody starts to notice an issue to action to, working to better themselves for that. So hopefully it is a good option for some people, and could be short-term, could be long-term, but it's kind of a positive thing, we feel.
Yeah, I think it also, there's such a stigma against hearing loss and hearing aids. Yeah. And so going to see an audiologist and having your hearing tested and getting your results kind of makes it official that you officially have hearing loss. And that can be really scary for some people, or maybe you're super busy and you just aren't going to prioritize to find the time to come in and do an appointment. And you're like, you know what, I'll give these a go. Yeah. So if it increases access for somebody who's either going to choose to do nothing or pursue OTC hearing aids, then I definitely think there is a right market for it. Our biggest concern is, well, you've perceived mild to moderate, but you're actually severe. And you're like, I try these and maybe it doesn't work out. And then you don't give it another go. You don't pursue that next level prescription. And so I think it's just figuring out, you know what, I'll give this a try. And if this doesn't work for me, where do I go from here? And what are my options?
I think what just bumped in my head is that whole Nike slogan, just do it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you're going to do something and it's kind of like DIY, do it yourself, right? Over the counter is try something out, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work, it's like me going into Home Depot thinking I'm going to Don't laugh, but yeah, I did.
You don't even need to say anything. We know where this is going.
Or Joanne Fabrics and making a necklace because I don't want to spend the money on something. I'm like, I could totally make that. And they find out you totally can't. But at least I found out the value in having a professional make something.
Yes.
But just do something.
Yeah.
Do it
Yes.
is what the big overlying slogan should be here.
And so leading into, how do they do it? How do you
Approach it.
approach getting
Where are you gonna
over the
get one?
counter devices? What do you need to do before you do that?
We get that.
Yeah.
I've had people who schedule an appointment with me,
Yeah.
like a video call, just to ask, what should I buy? Or I've had emails they want me to reply to. What should I get? Dr. Michaelides, where do you think they should start?
So it depends, because some of the new devices, like I know with the Apple AirPods or whatever, you can actually do kind of a self-hearing test.
Yeah.
That's kind of the basic. You got to start with getting your hearing tested.
Right.
And I feel like coming to a professional place would be, you coming in to see us doesn't mean that you necessarily are walking out with hearing aids.
No.
We don't even know what's going on. You could have wax, you could have something else going on,
Right.
but at least getting a hearing test by a professional, I think is definitely the starting point. Most of insurances pay for it. Once a year, so it's not like you have to even pay anything out of pocket. But we can also kind of evaluate the whole situation. Like maybe it's wax, maybe it's you have an ear infection even, or something going on that we can find out. And then if you do have a mild hearing loss, we can give you options. But if it's something more severe, something else going on, then we can also give options for that as well.
True. Let's have a look in your ears. You know how many people
Yeah.
I've
Yes.
seen and they're like, I just saw my primary doctor a couple months ago.
Full of wax.
It's full of wax. And you know it's been there for years. And we're like,
Mhm.
did they really look in your ears? And we removed the wax and they're like, I can hear.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And my tinnitus is gone.
Yeah, right? And they're like, you just changed my life. I'm
Yeah.
like, good for you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think, Google is friend or foe of, there's a lot of good,
Dr. Google.
there's
Yeah.
good information out there, but there's a lot of information that's misleading as well. And so there's actually a website, Hearing Tracker,
Yeah.
that does look at how some OTC devices perform. And if you're going to go that route, I suggest that you do your research, because there's such a variety that exists in the cost aspect as well.
Like $99 to like $2,000.
To 2,000.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, $2,000 isn't just chump change. You're going to want to buy a quality device if you're spending that type of money out of pocket and investing in your hearing. And so I suggest that you look at, or even talk to, like we do a 15-minute complimentary, say, is this even the right thing for me? And we can help guide you of, yes, coming in to see us is going to probably be your best bet based on your history, or you know what, give OTCs a try. And you know what, I've heard really good things about X, Y, and Z. We've had them come through our office, and one of the things that makes us is we do something called real ear measurements. And so a lot of over-the-counter hearing aids have like self-adjusting features that you can do in the app that it's connected to on your phone. And what we can do is actually hook up your ears and your OTC hearing aids to read out, are these hearing aids even appropriate for you? And if you're not finding benefit, let's figure out why not. And can your OTC hearing aids get you there? Or is it time to invest in a prescription pair? And kind of what are your options? So even if you don't get them through us, we're still here to help you and guide you along the way, because ultimately better hearing care is our end goal. And whatever it takes to get you there is what we're going to do.
What's the number one thing you always tell people before you purchase?
Know the return policy. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah,
Very nice thing to learn.
We've been through this before. Yeah.
So, and that's
Good luck
what
getting
it
your money
is.
back sometimes. That's the hard part.
And so, as Dr. Johnson mentioned and Dr. Michaelides, there's a wide range of price points, right? And so I'm assuming maybe the less expensive maybe don't have quite the return window that the others do.
Sometimes the more expensive ones. There was a $1,900 one that wasn't giving anybody their money back.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so, because you want to make sure that you haven't invested in something and then you're just going to throw it in a drawer and shut it down and then just be angry, right? Because then you feel like, oh, it can't get better. But it can.
Yeah.
So
Just like Dr. Johnson said, like we don't want you to try something and then it doesn't work and then just give up and say, well, then look, or tell the whole family, I tried, they didn't work.
Right.
Because what if, like Dr. Michaelides was saying, what if the hearing wasn't assessed correctly?
Right.
What if you
Doing
don't
it by
have a right
yourself, yeah.
diagnosis?
Yeah.
Right? Didn't you say you had a patient that came from a different place and
Yes.
they had
and
hearing aids?
They had
and it
hearing
was-
aids, but they were just occluded with cerumen. So they just had wax.
Yeah.
Took out the wax and the hearing was pretty much normal.
So what if
a
you
waste.
just have wax
Yeah.
and you just paid $9.95 at Walgreens for a Bose set of hearing aids you don't even need?
Right.
Like start somewhere. I also think some of these apps, a lot of them they do, like Bose, they have you do a self-test, which is cool,
Yeah.
right? But did you do it in a quiet situation or a loud situation? How loud were your headphones set? Like it's not calibrated. Were your headphones even working correctly? There's a lot of questions. So why not have your hearing tested first and then put that hearing test results into your cell phone?
So let's say that they've done that. They've had their hearing tested. They are programming them at home, but still finding issues. So maybe they're getting a lot of squealing. Maybe they're, it's fallen out of their ears. What do we do?
Oh yeah, because you're not gonna get custom pieces that you would from an audiology or doctor's office. So the fit could be poor, you could have pain, you could have a lot of different things with the over-the-counter hearing aids that you wouldn't get if you decided to get a prescription from an audiologist.
And I think it's important to note that all of the OTC hearing aids are going to come with something called domes. Those are the little silicone pieces that go into your ear canal that let in or out an appropriate amount of sound and air. And they usually come in the generic sizes of like extra small, small, medium, large. And most of them are perfectly round. And I have yet to meet a perfectly round ear canal.
Yes.
Still waiting for that day. But it just isn't the size and shape that we usually need. Or maybe you're an in-between size. And anybody who's shopped for women's clothing knows what that means. Is that one size is a little too big, but then the other size is a little bit too small. And you need that perfect fit. And so...
Or one ear is different than the other.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Right? And they're like,
Yes.
that couldn't be. Well, look at my nostrils. One smaller than the other. Like, that's our ear canals,
Yes.
right? And you think, well, it came like this, so this has to be.
It's not
Like
a
what
matched pair. It's
These
not
are the
not.
options.
No.
And so when you purchase over the counter, you're going to get that manufacturer's options only.
Mhm.
But as all of the students that I've worked with and my lovely colleagues here know, I am not a dome purist. I will mix and match between manufacturers because certain manufacturers have a different texture, a different shape, a different feel to them that would be best for a different person's ear canal. And when you get something that just comes out of the box OTC, if it's not working, it's not working, and you don't have a bunch of different options. So it's just something to consider of more personalized versus DIY.
So she's not a dome purist.
I'm not a
I've
dome
never
purist.
heard that before. So what are you then?
Oh,
You're a radical dome fitter?
I don't know.
Acceptor.
I'm
Radical acceptor.
I like to cross contaminate between different manufacturers, I guess. I think that certain manufacturers make different shapes that are really nice.
Yes.
And
For different ears.
For different
Right.
ears.
And the
And
degree
so
of the hearing loss.
it just really varies of
The
like,
configuration.
okay, if we do Oticon and Oticon and it works, great. But sometimes we need to throw in a Widex to get the different shape or the different silicone materials. Some of them are gray, some of them are clear, some come with dyes that people can't tolerate. And so it just, you get a more personalized approach when you come in office. And if you have something OTC and it's not working for you, don't let that be the end of the line.
But we're also able to do customized ear molds as well. So
Yes.
even with all of those things and all that cross-contamination going on,
Like, I can't think of a better word than that,
with
but
that,
it just makes
sometimes
it match.
those still don't work either. So if that's still not working, then we're
Yeah.
able to go in, and if you have like really, really tiny ear canals or really big ones or whatever the case may be, or all's different, that we're able to go in and actually make customized ear molds to make it a perfect fit every time.
Can
So
I
that's
just say, if it's not a right fit and it gets stuck in your ear canal, it is not a medical emergency.
No.
You
Right.
do not have to go to the ER and wait for someone, and then they're just going to refer you to
They're not gonna know what
ENT
to
or an
do.
audiologist. Yeah. Just give a call. Find an audiologist. They'll just pluck it and pull it out. Gosh, what was the number? I think I have had at most 5 domes
in one ear
someone's
canal.
One ear.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say mine's
yeah,
4.
He was
Yeah.
the Florida man. Came
Yeah.
up from Florida. Yep. Someone gave him extra domes. He just kept putting them in, didn't know where it went. Because the ear, sometimes the ear traps it, grabs it, and then when you pull the device out, it keeps the mold or the dome. So anyway, we have fun plucking that out of people's ears too.
It happens.
Yeah. In
It happens.
talking about the fit of those though, to make sure that they're the right fit, that also affects like that squealing that I mentioned, right?
Feedback.
So that's that feedback that's happening that could maybe be resolved because there's wax built up or because you just need a different size. And that is something that a hearing care professional can help out with.
Proper insertion.
Yeah.
So some people are very aware of where their ear canals are in space. Other people not so much. And so how many times, especially on like TV or movies, do we see people with hearing aids that are just sticking out of their ears? And you're like, I just want to give that a nice little push into the correct place. So sometimes if you're getting the squealing, maybe the dome does fit, but you're just not pushing it into your ear canal confidently enough because nobody's walked you through that.
Also, if I can, the domes, the part that goes in your ear could be the most important part of this entire process. It'll
Yes.
make or break your success. Number one, like what you're saying, if this was a statistic, I'm sure somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong, but this is what I heard. If the dome or that part is coming out of your ear even 1 millimeter, you're losing 9 decibels of sound.
Probably.
So if you put it in correctly and if it stays properly, you have consistent hearing. Number one. Number two, there are little holes in some of these domes for a reason. Sometimes it's like a double scoop of ice cream. Sometimes it's just 1 scoop of ice cream. Sometimes it looks like a little flower with holes in it. Those acoustical modifications are important depending on the type and degree, configuration and degree of your hearing loss. We look at that and we're like, whoa, that's wrong. And they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, I can see it a mile away. Like, that's not going to work for you, right?
Yeah.
And we know that's why your voice is echoing, or this is why you have no volume, or this is why. And we go in and we can change those super quick. And you're like, that's
all it took.
amazing, right?
Yeah,
all
But
it
this
took.
is the
Yeah.
stuff. It's kind of like an electrician or a plumber or anyone comes into your house and they're like, well, I knew that I needed this tool and this because, or anyone that's ever tried drywalling. There are people, they have techniques and they know what to do and what order to do it because they've been doing it for years and they're a professional. So, but we can help you with that. But it's over the counter is a great start for you. Especially, I think we just did a podcast asking, how do you help someone who maybe won't address their hearing? Maybe you could just set up a pair of Apple AirPod Pros you already have in your purse, sit with them, do the little hearing test. I think it's AirPod Pro 2s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
You do the hearing test and then you can let them hear the improvement or even use the start live listen and they now have a remote mic. Like you can suddenly show them this is why this is a great thing. Let them play with that. Now maybe those AirPod Pros, the battery's not going to last all day long, or it might make
4
their
hours.
voice sound little bassy and occluded, or
Even the fit could be weird.
it can be
Yeah.
weird, right? Sometimes we do even custom molds just for those devices, but it's a starting point. It's a wonderful way to start the conversation or show them
Yeah.
their life could be easier.
Agreed.
All right. So I guess we'll see you soon and have a happy hearing day. Turn on the music, dance, sing, and have great conversations.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Hearing Wellness Journey podcast. For more information about what we do and the services we provide, please visit our website at hearingwellnessjourney.com/podcast, where you can find more resources based on today's discussion, as well as request to be a member of our Hearing Wellness Journey community on Facebook. That's available for our listeners exclusively on hearingwellnessjourney.com/podcast.